In this quick video guide, we're gonna see how we can use HDRIs images in Blender and how we can download them, use them for free using a plugin called BlenderKit. So first of all, you need to have Blender installed, of course, and then you need to get the BlenderKit add-on. Now, we already dedicated other video guides talking about BlenderKit and how it can be installed, downloaded, and everything, so you can check the other video guides if you want to deepen that the knowledge in that part. And we also creating more guides about the materials, the HDRIs, the scenes, and the brushes, and so on. So look for them in the channel. If you're interested in Blender, by the way, you will find a course in the channel talking about Blender and all the features, so you can use it and you can start also as a beginner. So you can download BlenderKit from here, and it's going to be a zip file. And in order to use the HDRIs, so make sure that you have installed it. So once you open Blender, you go to Edit Preferences, and you need to look for the BlenderKit add-on inside the add-on page. So looking for it, you can see it's there and it's activated. If it's not there, you need to click on Install, navigate where you downloaded the file. So it's this one here, it's a zip file. Then you click on Install, and then you make sure you check on the checkbox, and there you go. You also have like a video tutorial there explaining to you how it works. Now we can close this panel, and we are in Blender. So you can see here at the top you have this toolbar that contains all the main features of BlenderKit. So you have the models, you have materials, you have scenes, and you have HDRIs, and also brushes, which are for sculpting. Now again, we dedicated other video guides on these other topics. In this video, we're gonna select the HDRIs. Now you can see this stripe will appear when you select one of these areas. And if you want, you can turn this on and off by using this little eye or this X icon right here. And you can scroll this stripe by clicking on the arrows. You can go back and forward. And you can see how many you have. So if you want, you can filter. You have indoors, you have outdoors. Now the beauty of HDRIs, when you use HDRIs, is that they're gonna be used for lighting and background and reflection. So they're not just simple texture that you're gonna apply, but they're gonna contribute to a lot of really important parts of your scene, so that you don't need to like insert lights, you don't need a scene, but you're just gonna have a background. So you can just place a single object and an HDRI, and you have kind of a complete scene if you want. So this is the standard scene in Blender. We have a camera, and we can click here, we can see inside the camera, and we only have a cube and a light. Now we can get rid of the light, we can get rid of the cube, we're only gonna keep the camera, but we need a subject. Now I don't want to use the cube because it's a really simple subject, so let's get the standard monkey head of Blender. So I'm gonna set up there the monkey, and also I want to increase the subdivisions and the smoothness of this monkey. So right click and say shade smooth, and then go in the modifiers panel on the right, click and go to subdivision surface, and let's increase the level of subdivisions, unless you don't see everything fine, but I think it's good to have 3 levels. I will keep 3 levels. So if I go now inside my camera, I can focus on the monkey. Now we can also apply better material here, so to see the reflections, and we can directly use BlenderKit. Why not? We have it. So I'm just gonna click here, and I'm just gonna get this material. Just click and drag. So this is gonna be a metal. You can see that with material, you just need to click and drag. Now, in order to see what the material is doing and also the HDRI that we're gonna place, we need to move into another type of visualization. So we can use material preview to see a preview of the material, which looks like a metal. But if we want to see also, if you want to manage and see what the HDRI is doing in terms of lining and the rest, we need to go to the fourth sphere, which is the render sphere. Now you can see we don't have much lining in here. Now let's add also a mesh plane so we can use it to see the shadows on the bottom. And I also want to scale this. And again, if you find difficult these really simple steps, you probably want to have a look to the beginner course of Blender in our channel. So I'm not able to see too much light in here, so I need to click on this little arrow, and this is where I can find the settings. So you can see that right now it's getting the lighting from the scene lights, which are not at the moment available because I deleted the light, and also is getting the lighting from the scene world. Now if you deactivate this, now the scene is going to be lightened by this HDRI, which is already inside Blender. So this is kind of the default HDRI. You can also change, and you can see that if you change the HDRI, also the reflections would change and also the lighting. So this is why HDRI environment texture are really important. Okay, but this is not yet a rendered. This is kind of render preview and material preview. So to have a nice render, realistic render, we need to go here on the render properties and change this from EV to cycles. So now we can start to see the shadows, and we can see a better material, and it's a better render, a better visualization. Now you can see that without any light, we are also projecting shadows, and this is thanks again to the HDRIs. So again, if I go here and change it, let's go from outdoor to indoor, everything is going to change. The shadows are like less defined, less sharp, more blurred. The lining is different. Now, another important thing about HDRI is that you can rotate them. So if I click here on rotation and I click and drag this is going to rotate the HDRI, which is kind of a spherical texture, an environment texture around your scene, which is now not visible. So what I'm seeing here is just the lining coming from that image and the reflections. Now to see the actual image in the background, if we're going to use the standard HDRIs in Blender, we need to increase the world opacity. And there we go. Now we can see also the image as a background. And this is better to understand what the image is doing right now, the environment. So when you use environment images, HDRIs, you don't need to develop a real 3D scene. You have like a fake 3D scene in the background, and you have, again, all the lights you need and all the reflections you need to have a realistic rendering. And this is a simple object. So think about complex objects with complex materials. Those are going to look also more realistic. So how we can use the BlenderKit HDRIs? It's really simple. We can just click and drag the HDRI from this stripe into the scene. Now you can also look for something in particular. So let's look for like a forest. So you can see now we have a lot of forest right here. So if I want to get this, I'm just going to click and drag it in the background. And it's also giving me the choice, the options for the resolution. So the better, the higher the resolution, the better will be the image in the background. You can see that these default images from Blender are a little bit blurry, a little bit, pixelated. So let's use a 2K resolution and say OK. So you can see now it's downloading, and you can see this is from Polyhaven. So it's kind of a free source also for objects and textures and HDRIs. And I think most of them are from Polyhaven. So you will find here a lot of free assets. Now it's still downloading. We can see down here the download, but it's not appearing. So this is because we are using the default HDRIs in Blender. So if we want to override that, we need to click on the scene world. Now, if you don't do this, you will not be able to see the HDRI that you have downloaded. So you can see now we are using the forest, and everything changes. So the lighting changes, the background changes, and the reflections also on the object. Again, if you want more, we can click again on the eyes. Let's look for like a city, and let's press enter. Now it's searching for cities, cityscape, and there you go. So let's use another one. And again, these are all from Polyhaven, so everything is free. You don't need to accept this. You can see this is locked. So if you want like extra content in BlenderKit, you need to subscribe. But right now, let's just use, well, let's use this one. So I'm gonna click, drag, and let's use something smaller like 1K. This is Palermo, so this is in Italy. You can see that now, again, the lighting is changed, everything is changed, and I didn't need to do anything else because everything was just already fixed. So you have the opportunity now to switch from scene world to the default, and you can see that now looks blurry and pixelated. So 1K, it's kind of too small. So if you want better quality, you can change here and download also higher quality. So if I click here on 4K, it's gonna look better, and it's gonna have, of course, more resolution. Now another important thing, there you go. So now it looks way much better. Now if you want to rotate this, you cannot do it from here. So I'm just gonna pause the render. So I'm just gonna switch here to viewport shading, which is less heavy. And also here I want to use my world, so I'm gonna activate scene world. So you can see now this is not rendering, but we are able to move faster. So what I want to do is go into the shading part, and again also in the shading we need to change here and say scene world. Okay, now what if I want to manipulate that texture? I need to go here and change from object to world, and now you can see we have all the nodes that we need. Now all these nodes have been set up by BlenderKit. So all we need to do is go here in the mapping node, and we need to go in the rotation on the Z and click and drag this. So we can see we are changing now the position and also, of course, reflections and lighting. So this will be all for this video. I hope you enjoyed. And if you're interested in knowing more, you can check other video guides in our channel about Blender, about other 3D software, about BlenderKit, and so on, about Polyhaven. Now you also have an extra thing you can do actually. So right now I want to keep the plane because this will show me the shadows, but I don't want the plane to be visible. So what I need to do is get rid of that object. So I need to go in the object properties, and in the visibility I'm gonna use this as a shadow catcher. So this means that when I'm gonna render, there you go, so I will not see the plane but only the shadows. So this will make things more realistic. So this will be all for this video guide. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to support us, you can join the channel as a supporter. Thanks, and see you in the next.